All right, welcome back in On the Border in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, powered by Corona Light. This is the Zach Gelb Show, Fox Sports 920, the Jersey. We'll be joined momentarily by former Eagles tight end Luther Broughton, who's going to be joining us. Played for the Birds from 1999 to 2000, and a lot of similarities with that 99 team. A little bit different because they didn't start out that hot, and of course, you had Doug Peterson being the quarterback for the start of the year, and then McNabb came in, and in this case with Carson Wentz, he was the guy from the start. However, though, Doug Peterson was there, and now he's still here. And you also had a situation with the new head coach that a lot of people did not know about in Andy Reid. Now a new head coach that a lot of people were very skeptical of in Doug Peterson, and a new quarterback, a rookie quarterback in Carson Wentz. Like I've been saying, really, ever since you realized that the Eagles fooled you in the beginning of the year, that this is a team that is building in the right direction, in my opinion, because they have that piece at quarterback, and it's so tough to get that quarterback in this league. The big question is, in these next two drafts, what will they be able to do, and how will they surround and help out this quarterback? And do you trust Howie Roseman to do that? That is a legitimate argument, and that is why some fans have an uneasy feeling about this, but you do have the franchise quarterback, and like we said, the Eagles do play the Giants tonight, and they're trying to hold off the Giants from clinching at Lincoln Financial Field. And now joining us on the Zach Gelb Show, Fox Sports 920, the Jersey, as we're at On the Border today and powered by Corona Light, is former Philadelphia Eagles tight end, and that is Luther Broughton, who's going to join us right now. Luther, Zach Gelb, appreciate a few minutes. Thanks for the time. And how are you, my friend?
Hey, Zach, how are you?
Well, I'm doing great. Happy holidays to you and, of course, your family. So we were just talking about this Giant game tonight, and there's not a lot of excitement for this Giant game tonight just because the Eagles fooled us in the beginning of the year and then went back to what we expected them to be after really that Lions game and then even a little bit after that Minnesota Vikings game. So I'm just wondering, from your recollection about playing the Giants, what do you remember about playing the Giants and that rivalry that the Eagles and Giants, of course, have?
Well, one thing I do remember is losing a lot. When when I was there, we lost to the Giants like, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 straight times, and with Michael Strahan dominating. It was kind of depressing playing the damn Giants. My dad lived in New York, so he's a huge Giant fan. He'd always want me to play well but lose, so it was always kind of rough playing against those doggone Giants.
I know that you don't like any of these teams in the NFC East other than the Philadelphia Eagles. Were the Giants the team you hated the most just because they dominated you guys so much?
Actually, no. I hated the Cowboys the most. I've always hated the Cowboys. And I'll tell you why. I have 2 cousins. My mom's closest sister we all lived near each other when I was younger. And I have 2 older cousins. They're brothers. One was a huge Cowboy fan, and one was a huge Steeler fan. And they both tried to get me to hate the other team. Well, I got to hating the Cowboys because my one cousin just laid it on me so often. And I hated the Cowboys coming up, and their fans are absolutely annoying and obnoxious. I know our fans are crazy too, but my God, the Cowboy fans are so obnoxious. It's depressing, but I do hate the Cowboys. The team that I actually hate the least from the NFC East is the Giants.
Yeah, there is a respect factor with the Giants. There's a respect factor with the Giants. But when I think of the Cowboys, I just think of a cockroach organization. And I can't stand it right now, Luther, that the Cowboys look like they're going to the Super Bowl. It must make you sick as a former Eagles player, right?
Listen, the Cowboys are a really good team, right? They've got the best record in the East, but I'm not going to say they're looking like they're going to the Super Bowl. You have to get to the playoffs and at least get to the championship game first. They probably don't want to meet the Giants again because they can't handle the Giants. But listen, I heard what you said a little bit earlier about the Eagles early in the season. I really don't think the Eagles fooled anyone. I think everyone kind of caught up to Carson as a rookie quarterback and started showing him different things. I don't think we fooled anyone. I mean, we won 3 games at the beginning of the year. We beat 2 bad teams, Browns and the Bears. We dominated the Steelers. Kind of an anomaly, right? We lost by 1 point to the Lions. We lost by a field goal I'm sorry, not a field goal, a touchdown to the Redskins in a game where we couldn't stop the run. We beat the Vikings. We had a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter against the Cowboys, and then we decided to fumble the ball away to them. We lost by 5 to the Giants. We beat the Falcons. We got pretty handily beat in Seattle, but we only lost by 11, and we had a long touchdown call back in the second half that could have changed the game. The Packers game was ugly, and so was the Bengals game. Then you take the Redskins game, we lost by 5 points again. And the Ravens game last week, a 1-point game in which I was happy going for 2. Everybody's like, go for 1, you need a win. Doesn't a 2 get you a win? I like the aggression. You know what I'm saying? I don't think we fooled anybody. I think we are who we are. We won our 3 games early, and people were fooled because they wanted to be optimistic. But we beat 2 bad teams early on, right? Well, I wasn't
but Luther,
expecting
here's
this
the
team
thing.
to be
Here's the thing,
any
Luther,
better
though.
than we were. And I'm happy that we have the quarterback in there taking his lumps now.
And I agree with a lot that you said, but my point with really about the fooling was not so much in the offense, because that offense, besides Wentz, doesn't have a lot of talent. It's when you take a look at that defense, because you mentioned some of those teams that the defense did beat. Atlanta, a prudent offense.
You're right.
The
You are
Steelers,
exactly right.
a prolific offense. And then this defense now, it's very inconsistent, and you see a game like Cincinnati where they didn't show up.
I completely agree with you. What happened to the defense? What happened to that defense that actually kept our offense looking? You have a young offense, a young and not very talented offense. You need your defense with more talent to be dominant. I don't know what happened. We got to a point where first we couldn't stop the run, and then we started giving up big pass plays again. And I really don't know what happened. And I know we don't have I know people are like, well, we've got Jenkins and we got McLeod. We don't have a lot on the outside. But when you don't have a lot on the outside, it wouldn't matter if you actually could get after the passer. And whatever happened to Vinny Curry? He still gets like half the snaps.
He's missing. He's been missing.
It's interesting. I'm a huge fan, but I'm a realistic fan. And I think we are where I thought we'd be. We could have won, could have, should have, right? We could have won a couple of those close games and been more of a 500 team right now. But I see people calling for the coach's head and
silly
and driving and saying how he sucks after wanting to. Can I say give him a BJ on the radio? After basically wanting to make out with Howie in the off season, and now they want to kill him. It's the microwave age. They can't have any patience.
Luther Broughton with us right now. I guess if you're going to ask if you could say it, yeah, of course you could go ahead.
I know, right? I went and said it. That was smart.
So, Luther, let me ask you this, though, because effort's been a problem. Last 2 weeks, as a team, they've showed up after that disaster against Cincinnati. You would think they would show up tonight with the pride being on the line, and you don't want to see a team in your division clinch on your home field. But a player that I've seen regress really in the last few weeks has been Rodney McLeod. And we've seen plays.
Say it. You see plays where he's let up, and even the touchdown with Deshaun Jackson last week, he pretty much stopped on the play.
Yeah, he's in quicksand. So let me ask you this.
Miss the ball. That was ridiculous.
Yeah, so let me ask you this. As a former player, if you see a player on your team not giving a max effort, and this has been a consistent thing, do you approach him in the locker room and say, hey, what's going on?
It's based on who that player is and how that player would react, because you want to let the coaches do their jobs, right? But when you have – and it's based on who you are. Me, a backup tight end, had been on the team 1 year, left, came back. I don't have a huge standing in that locker room. If I'm Brett Selleck, who's been there for 8, 9 years, maybe I say something. Maybe I have a conversation like, what's going on? like, come on, we need you. Not riding them, but you get to a point where you're like, look, we can't have this, man. We're trying to win games.
Luther Broughton with us right now on the Zach Gelb Show, Fox Sports 920, The Jersey. You had an interesting take on the coach, Doug Peterson. I just want to revisit that. There's been some times where he's made some bad decisions, but of course that's going to happen with the rookie head coach. You know Doug very well. You played with Doug. Just what do you like about him so much as a head coach?
One thing I like about him is his demeanor. I know a lot of people don't. They want more Rex Ryan because they want to be entertained. I don't need to be entertained by my head coach. Now, I know he's been a little bland in his press conferences, but whatever. What I do like about him is him recognizing I'm making the mistakes. And I know there's been a lot of mistakes, but he's kind of like Carson. He's learning on the fly. I know that's not what you want to hear about your head coach, but look, we are in a rebuilding year. I like the fact that he is aggressive. You get me 4th and 1 at the 40, and I'm going for it. Maybe some of the plays you kind of scratch your head, but guess what happens when they run the same play and that play works? All of us internet geniuses call him a great coach, right? If Matthews doesn't fumble, if the rookie running back doesn't fumble against Dallas, if maybe we can get a push up front and get the first down, then we call him a genius, right? So guess what? We're going to have a whole off season of self-scouting and a whole off season of trying to patch some holes. And the one thing I like about him is the fact that he trusts in his players. He seems to trust in his players. And I think players like that. They relate to that. They want to fight for that guy. Yeah, if you're telling me I trust you enough to go for 2 or win this game, hey, more power to you.
So when you guys first had Andy come in, I know you were only there for 2 years on the Eagles, and they had that down year, and then the next year they had a lot of success. When was that moment that you started to believe that Andy Reid was the right guy? Because right now with Doug, there are some people that are saying, I don't know if he's the right guy.
Well, that's going to happen. That's going to happen. When I don't know when I knew Andy was the right guy. I can tell you when I got in there in the first few practices and the first few conversations, you go, I kind of like what I'm hearing. This is different. This is more like so and so, but with a little bit of I want to listen to you. You know what I'm saying? He is the head coach, and he is the head coach. But he'll also say, "What do you think here?" Prime example. Again, I'll use myself an example. 3rd tight end, sometimes even 4th. Hell, we were playing a game against I can't remember who it is. We were on the goal line. It was either 3rd and goal or 4th and goal. And we called the timeout to figure out a play, and I'm standing by him because he could call 2 tight ends or 3 tight ends to get in there. And he looks over at me, and I give him a hand signal a play that we had worked on a couple times this week. And he said, "Heck, get in there, Luther. We're going to run it." And he listens. He takes into it, but he is the guy. And you love that. You love when you can say, "Hey, coach, I think this." He might say no, but at least you can go to him.
Luther Broughton with us right now. Let's get to the quarterback. When you take a look at a rookie quarterback, and he got thrown into the fire right away, he thought he wasn't even going to be dressing on game day. And the next thing you know, Sam gets traded to Minnesota, and it was a deal that I thought was a great move by the Philadelphia Eagles. When you look at Carson Wentz, and just because you've been in the huddle with the rookie quarterback, you've seen those types of situations, what impresses you the most about this kid? Because I think there's a lot that if you sit there as an Eagles fan, you have a lot to just be confident about for the future.
Well, the first thing you notice is he doesn't get rattled. He does not get rattled. He gets hit. He gets back up. You see him correcting plays at the line of scrimmage. You see him making huge blunders, huge bad interceptions, and comes back the next drive and getting after it. You love that in your guy. That's your guy, and that's somebody who you want to run behind. That's somebody who you want to play for. Now, one thing I do hate seeing are the some of the interceptions, and a lot of them are high throws across the middle. And one big thing that I'd love for him to correct is just throwing the ball away. There are a lot of times where he takes a sack near the sideline, or he runs out of bounds with the ball. Or, prime example, last week, all he had to do was chuck the ball away. He actually fumbled on the sideline. That's something that you should have out of your system by week 14, wherever we are. That's something you should have out of your system. Nonetheless, you see a guy learning. You see a guy getting better. You see a guy who's tough. You gotta love toughness.
And also, Luther, and I agree with you. He does have to learn how to when to throw the ball away, and he has to protect the football. Going down the middle of the field is a bit concerning. But you look at this roster, the run game is so inconsistent, and these wide receivers, I can't stand watching Nelson Aguilar and Dorial Green-Beckham. How much is it just tough on Wentz that he has all this pressure in a city like Philadelphia, and he doesn't have that much help on the offensive side of the ball?
It's tough on him. It's a blessing in disguise. That's like having the guy you play pickup ball with. You see this wimpy little guy, and you have the 10th pick, and you have to get this guy. Come to find out, he's from the tough part of the neighborhood. He's been playing tough basketball all his life. He kicks butt every time he's out there. He's tough. You get thrown in the fire like Wentz is, and you can either suffer from it, like some guys have done. David Carr, for example, comes to mind, or you grow from it, like Peyton Manning comes to mind. And I'm not saying he's either of those guys. I'm not saying he's Peyton. I'm not saying he's David. David had no line in at Houston, and he got destroyed. Peyton is Peyton. And some guys, it absolutely hurts. It just, they need the time. It looks like it's a good thing for Carson. It looks like he's growing, and that's what you want to see. You want to see growth. There are no moral victories in football, but you see some growth with Carson, and that's what you want. I don't know what else you can ask for from him right now besides some growth.
Luther, when I take a look at this game tonight, and we talked about the cornerback play and how bad it's been for the Eagles, I don't see how they stop Odell Beckham Jr. tonight. Just your impressions on Odell Beckham Jr.
Well, it's a conference game, and I know we've had a hard time sometimes with some receivers, but when you get into the conference games, a lot changes. The bottom of the barrel team beats the top of the conference, so on and so forth. I see us having a hard time with Odell, but I also can see us getting after Eli and rattling him a little tonight. It's not like he's not used to the weather. They play outside and they play in New York, so that's not going to affect him much. But I do see pride coming into play. Another thing that's going to come into play tonight is a lack of rest. We don't know what the health situation is from anyone, and I'll say this right now before we go any further. I hate Thursday night football.
I can't stand it. It's the worst.
I wish they could do away with it. It's just ridiculous, and they preach player safety, yet they want to play games four days from a full-blown football game. That's absolutely ridiculous to me, but that's another story. I don't know, man. The Giants have something to play for. They're trying to get clinched, but the Eagles have something to play for as well. It doesn't seem like it, but we can be spoilers, right? But then there's another thing to look at, and I know people call me crazy, and I know being in Philadelphia, you guys have seen a lot of tanking. I can't stand when we're out of the playoffs and we don't play our rookies, and that's when we start winning games, and we go from having the 8th pick to the 16th pick. If you get to this point, you play the young guys. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, well, the good thing is that the Browns have the Eagles pick, so it doesn't really matter if the Eagles do it tonight.
But there is 7 rounds. That's what I've been telling people for so long. I'm like, I get it, but we've given up our first-round pick to the Browns, right? So in the second round, do you want pick 40 or do you want pick 56?
Oh, rather have pick 40, no doubt about it.
You
Right.
want pick 40 in the third round. You want pick 70 and not pick 86. So if and I'm not saying to tank. I'm saying this is a time where you go and see the young guys. If we lose, we lose. If we lose, we lose. I don't have a loser's mentality, but once you get to this point, you want to get some reps for your young guys.
Luther, last one, and this was a great appearance by you today. I really appreciate you coming on. But before we let you run, I got to ask you this, because we talk about the league and how they've been hypocritical. A few weeks ago, they allowed players to wear specific cleats, and then a few weeks later, Odell Beckham Jr. decided to wear these cleats to honor the late, great Craig Sager, and he actually raised a lot of money for cancer. And earlier this week, the league fined him $18,000. And I'm sure, knowing Odell, he'll probably wear some special cleats tonight and probably continue to raise some more money. I just can't stand the league right now and what they're doing, just trying to take and really just try to monitor every situation. If a guy wants to wear cleats to honor someone that just passed away and raise money for cancer, how do they have a problem with that and fine the guy then $18,000?
So here's my take on this. I can't stand it. I agree with you. I think they're they're looking at things that they need to worry about these damn officials instead of worrying about players' cleats. However, everyone knows that you're going to get fined if you wear cleats that aren't ruled to be within the guidelines, if it's a week where they don't allow you to wear special cleats. Now, what I did hear is he didn't get a warning. Usually they come out, they see your cleats, they say, you can't wear those, change before you come back out. Apparently he didn't even get a warning.
No, he didn't. According to him, he didn't. But, yeah, it's definitely an excellent point that you do bring up about that.
That stinks, but we all know the rules. We know the rules. And if he got fined, he got fined. Whatever. Quit whining about it. You know the rule.
Luther, appreciate the time. Enjoy the game tonight. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. You guys have a great day. Merry Christmas, Philly, Jersey.